Imagine a courtroom where justice isn't just about the law, it's about heart, compassion, and giving people a second chance. A place where a judge doesn't just hand down sentences, he changes lives. That was the world of Judge Frank Caprio, the man millions called the nicest judge in the world. But on August 20th, 2025, after a brutal battle with pancreatic cancer, we lost him at 88. Today, on Prime Bio, we're diving into his extraordinary life, the triumphs, the tears, the conflicts, and the unbreakable spirit that made him a legend. If you've ever been moved by a story of kindness in a cruel world, stick with me. This is the emotional roller coaster you didn't know you needed. Frank Caprio was born on November 24, 1936, in Providence, Rhode Island, into a world far from fame. His father, Antonio, was an Italian immigrant, a milkman who braved freezing New England winters to deliver bottles door to door. Picture a young Frank, growing up without hot running water, shining shoes on street corners to help his family survive. It was tough, grueling poverty that could have broken anyone. But it shaped Frank's deep empathy. His dad wasn't just a provider, he was a beacon of kindness, helping neighbors without expecting a dime. Frank once said, "I had the most privileged childhood I could imagine. I had the privilege of being brought up poor." But it wasn't all rosy. He faced bullying for his Italian roots, the constant pain of scraping by. Those early struggles, those conflicts, they planted the seeds for the compassion that would define his life. Frank worked hard, from peddling fruit to hauling construction materials, all while dreaming bigger. The pain of watching his parents sacrifice everything fueled his ambition. It was raw, emotional, and it taught him that real strength comes from understanding someone else's struggle. After high school, Frank clawed his way through Providence College, teaching by day and studying law by night at Suffolk University in Boston. That's grit right there. By 1965, he was a lawyer, but first, he taught American government at Hope High School, shaping young minds with passion. In 1985, at 49, he became Chief Judge of the Providence Municipal Court. A dream come true, but it wasn't smooth sailing. Early on, he was too strict. On his first day, a mother of three faced $300 in parking tickets. She was scared, defiant. Frank fined her the full amount. But that night, his dad pulled him aside and said, "She was scared, Frank. How's she gonna feed her kids? You took her dinner money." That hit like a ton of bricks. It was a painful lesson that changed him forever. Frank vowed to judge with heart, to step into defendants' shoes. His courtroom became a stage for humanity, broadcast on local TV as Caught in Providence starting in 2000. Little did he know, it would explode online, racking up billions of views and turning him into a global icon. Let's talk about the moments that made Judge Caprio a sensation. Caught in Providence wasn't about drama. It was about real, raw emotion. Nominated for 4 Daytime Emmys, it showcased cases that hit you right in the feels. Take 2017. Andrea Rogers, a grieving mother, stood before him with parking fines. Tears streaming down her face, she shared her son had been murdered. The courtroom went silent. Frank didn't just dismiss the tickets, he offered comfort, saying, "I'm so sorry for your loss." That clip? Over 10 million views. People around the world were crying with her. Then there was Victor Coella, a 96-year-old man ticketed for speeding. "I drive slowly, Judge," he said. "But I had to get my boy to blood work, he's got cancer." His boy was 63. Frank's eyes welled up. "You really are what America is all about," he said, tossing the case. That moment, it was powerful, showing the pain of family devotion in the face of illness. But it wasn't all smooth. Frank faced conflicts. Critics called his leniency soft justice, saying it undermined the law. One time, a defiant driver challenged his authority, sparking a tense moment. But Frank? He turned it around with humor and kindness, making even conflicts into lessons. And who could forget young Armando Ramos? A kid pleading for his mom, facing eviction. "She's looking for work to move us out," he said. Frank shook his hand. "You're a good kid." Case dismissed. Pure emotional gold, the pain of poverty clashing with hope. These weren't just cases. They were life lessons. Frank's compassion stood out in a system often seen as cold, making him a rebel in robes. Fun fact, his show raised awareness for poverty, grief, and elder care, all while entertaining. With 3.3 million Instagram followers and 1.6 million on TikTok, he became a household name. But fame brought its own conflicts, balancing public love with a private life. Through it all, he stayed humble. "I'm just a small-town judge trying to do good." Behind the bench, Frank was a family man. Married to Joyce for over 50 years, father to 5, including politicians Frank T. and David, grandfather, great-grandfather. His family was his anchor. But life threw its hardest punches. In November 2023, right around his 87th birthday, Frank was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. An insidious form. He called it tears in his eyes in a viral video asking for prayers. The man who gave hope now needed it. Treatment was brutal, 6 months of chemo, 5 rounds of radiation. The side effects were crushing, but in May 2024, he rang the bell at Baptist Health Miami, smiling. "I'm on my way to happy days." But cancer doesn't play fair. Setbacks hit hard. In June 2024, he leaned on his family, just like his dad had during his own battle with pancreatic cancer decades earlier. It was emotional, painful, the loneliness of illness, the fear of leaving loved ones. Frank shared his story in his book, Compassion in the Court, Turning Pain into Purpose. He even raised over $16,000 for the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. But on August 19, 2025, from his hospital bed, he asked for prayers one last time. The next day, he was gone. The world mourned. Tributes poured in from Viola Davis, Sebastian Maniscalco, even Jewel. Pancreatic cancer claims 64,000 Americans a year, with low survival rates. Frank's openness educated millions, even in his final days. Judge Caprio's legacy? It's simple, an unshakable belief in the power of kindness. He touched billions, proving one act of compassion can ripple across the world. From poverty to the bench, conflicts to second chances, his story is powerful, painful, and deeply emotional. He once said, "If there's one thing I want you to remember, it's that we all deserve a little compassion. In a divided America, that's the lesson we need now more than ever." If Judge Caprio's story moved you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs a dose of inspiration. Subscribe to Prime Bio for more gripping biographies of legends like Frank. Turn on notifications. We've got more emotional journeys headed your way. Drop a comment. What's your favorite Frank Caprio moment? Thanks for watching, and let's spread a little kindness today.